Hey, we're back. And do you like the new look? I'm acting like I can see it. We're going to talk a little bit about our updated branding and
And we take a look at all the happenings from NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One. There's been a little bit.
a little bit. And we got to discuss the elephant in the room. For those who watched Wednesday Night Dash this week, the North Wilkesboro, we'll call it maybe we call it a race. Yeah, not not going to be on the best of Wednesday Night Dash. We get into that and more.
ESPN's not top 10.
Not top 10. We'll get into that right now. Welcome to an all new season of FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Fluck.
I'm Eric Richardson.
So we are back since November was our season finale. A little bit
Yeah,
of
it's been a little
change,
bit.
a little bit of changes behind me. I have another bookshelf behind me now. I finally got my Enterprise D up
Oh,
on display.
yes.
Yeah, and it's like it's the Playmates one from 1992 where it actually uh it actually still
Nice.
makes got the warp drive on there. Still lights up. This thing's still in still working order. But anyway, got the Enterprise.
Gotta have
Maybe.
the Enterprise.
Yeah, gotta have an Enterprise. This is, the next I mean, obviously the original series is like, the basis for everything, but the next generation was our Star Trek. That was the one that came
Yep,
out when we were kids and through
that's what we were
adolescence.
watching.
That's our Star Trek. All right.
Still only
So
watching the original.
so we in the downtime, a lot of stuff has happened.
Everywhere.
I don't know where to start. I mean, we've got almost. I think all this are the seats all filled in IndyCar. Did that last coin is that official yet?
Um, the last seed of coin has not been finalized to my knowledge, and Prema is looking to miss the first four races and hopefully start by Long Beach.
Yikes!
And this could be the first time in what was it, 78 years that the Indy 500 may not hit 33 cars.
Wow.
That some of that could hinge on what happens with Prema.
I mean, they what had 30. What did they have? One get bumped last year?
Yeah, last few years it's just been one car.
Oh man.
There's been several years where there's been 33 here, like in the last 20 years, but
And
we've
we had
not been
that.
below that. And I'm pretty sure I saw 78 years.
What was that year? There was that one year where they started like 35 cars. Remember that? It was like 97 or 98?
Yeah, wasn't that like a timing issue
Uh,
or like something weird happened that they kicked drivers out, but then they went back and were like, no, you know what? You guys are going to be in. I forget
uh,
the exact circumstance of that year.
yeah, it was something really weird. But it was, I don't know. There's been a lot of weird stuff that's happened in the 500 in the last couple of years.
Indy
Breaking news is,
500 itself is just weird.
well, I mean, that's,
Just the lore
you
behind it.
you got to keep it weird to keep it going for as long as it has. So some breaking news today. Fox is going to be, remember last year when they ran the Weenie 500, they streamed it on YouTube on their YouTube channel.
Hmm.
They're bringing it to TV this year.
Yeah, it's coming back.
They're coming back and it's going to be actually on TV this year because why not?
Why not?
I mean, that was hilarious last year. I think the funniest part at the end was when one of the Wiener mobiles started smoking on the last lap.
Would they do like two laps in total? And they're ripping like
Yeah,
30 miles an hour down the straightaways.
it was like 2 or 3 laps. Yeah.
Great event though.
Yeah, that was so gimmicky but hilarious at the same time. It's
It
just like,
was.
I mean, it's carb day, what got to keep the fans entertained. So, carb Weenie
It is
500
fun.
coming back year 2.
Speaking of IndyCar, Tim Cindric coming back to a Team
Yeah.
Penske,
Yeah, Tim
like
Cindric
strategist.
is the strategist for Scotty Mack this year.
I'd like to know how all that worked out. Get fired, been like, hey, we want you to come back.
They said, I hope he didn't burn his Penske shirts.
I guess one
Yeah.
other note on IndyCar before we move on is we are trying to be somewhat quick here. They have an independent officiating body,
They do. Oh, the other thing too is the big driver name, a big addition to the field this year.
Mick
Mick
Schumacher.
Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher, former Formula One driver. He will be joining IndyCar. I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see how, because some of these guys that have come over that have done some Formula One have had mixed bag of success. You have, Grosjean on the ovals has been, and then,
Questionable at best,
yeah, and then you have Marcus Ericsson who wins the 500.
but really that's been his biggest success.
Arguably his only success in IndyCar.
And Indianapolis chooses the winner, so hard to know. He's caught a
He,
lot of flack too. There's some other drivers that are like, Mick, don't race on ovals. You don't want to do this.
the
So it'll be fun to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get these drivers, especially in Formula One, like, would you ever run the Indy 500? And they're like, no, because you have to be insane to want to do that.
There's a level of insanity to run the Indy 500.
I honestly, like, if you go back and watch one of the last times IndyCar ran at Auto Club Speedway, RIP, around what, 2015 or so, that was the most terrifying because it was always like they were always within inches of disaster that whole race. Where just someone got a little bit loose, but managed to save it, close contact, and it's just like you're just holding your breath the whole time. I mean, Texas has had some of that, but Auto Club, that whole race, you're just like, oh my god, someone's gonna die here.
Yeah, it's definitely a hold your breath type track.
So
But
yeah,
even the 500s that way, especially coming off a green flag, that turn one, it's
you got the rows of three trying to get into turn one cleanly. Yikes.
it's crazy.
So, other news in the world of motorsports is the NASCAR antitrust lawsuit was settled.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a big deal.
Steve
I like how they got
Phelps.
going a little over a week, and they're like, you know what? We're settling.
It was the plaintiffs rested their case, and the very next day they had a settlement. It's funny the timing of that.
Yeah,
Steve Phelps looks really bad through the whole process, and then later resigns from his position as NASCAR president. Um,
yeah, it probably needed to happen.
What's the fallout from this long term?
I think time will tell. Once we get to Daytona 500 here and we start seeing like TV numbers and the response of things,
I mean,
I think
not
it's
just
going
from
to do a
the
lot.
not just from the fan perspective, but from, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, baggage that made it into the public eye through that whole process. Um, Richard Childress, yeah, there's some not so flattering comments about what, the NASCAR brass thought of Richard Childress made it went public. Um, there's just a lot of ugly things that that went, and it's just like, how do you trust again?
I think it ends up being almost a forced more communication. I still don't think everything that needed to be resolved in the case was. I don't know if the like track discrepancy and who's allowed to use it was really resolved, but there's going to have to be
SRX,
more communication on both sides.
as SRX was referred to as a trash series, and yeah, it's interesting though with the Phoenix race going official, and it sounds like Fox was behind the push there. I think Fox was also behind the push with the dual truck IndyCar weekend in St. Petersburg. I mean, it probably was. It shows you like Fox has taken a lot of heat, a lot of criticism for their coverage over the years, but they clearly still have some pull in that relationship,
Hmm.
despite the fact that it's not what it once was.
I think the other thing that NASCAR had to do too was really listen into the fans. We knew a change was coming, but going to
We're
still
back,
like a 10 race playoff,
yeah, we're back to the
but
chase.
no more winning in and it's all on points.
The Roval
I
is
think
out of
that's
the
a
playoffs, back to the Oval.
great step there.
I mean, the Roval is fun, but as a playoff cutoff, I'm like, nah.
No, if you want to put Roval midseason, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think keeping the Roval on the schedule in some form somehow. Maybe not every year, but I like the Roval. I think the Roval is a lot of fun. There's always just chaos. It's a very entertaining race.
Yeah, I'm glad it's gone back to if you're going to win, you're going to win on points, and that all drivers will have a chance when they get to Homestead.
And
In
that's
theory,
another
all drivers
another
have a
another
chance.
change. Well, all right. Homestead is back in the championship. Phoenix will be in the fall, so ticket
I may have
prices are
to see if
probably
I can find a way to get down there.
get
Maybe
down
not
the
the race, but maybe do the Xfinity like you do. Or wait, the other change,
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Autopilot.
O'Reilly. I mean that's fine. Like that's gonna be hard to get used to just because we've been calling it that for the last 8 or 9 years, whatever it's been
I
since
still call it the Bush
I
series
still call it
from time and again.
I have slipped and called it the Bush series many times, and it hasn't been that in what 20 years, maybe.
Yeah, at least.
I mean, at least we have the Craftsman Truck Series again. That was, I mean,
I've always just called it the trucks.
yeah, but it's just like Craftsman having that brand associated with it. It's the same thing. It's like I wish Bush would have come back, but I guess having an auto parts sponsor, it's better than Nationwide Series. Let's say that.
Yeah,
So a lot of
yeah.
changes coming this year.
It'll be interesting to see how the year goes and how the teams feel about everything and how it all lines up.
I still question the moving Phoenix to mid-October because given the last couple of years, it could be 100 degrees or it could be 60 degrees and raining. Like it's just.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see.
I mean, the nice thing of it not being championship weekend anymore is the price of tickets are going to come way down. Uh,
Oh yeah.
that's part of the reason why I've been going to the Xfinity race because it's like even the Xfinity race, I think we're paying like $75 for an adult. Like the kids' tickets were still free, but I was paying like $75 sitting out in the sun. I mean, it's early November, it's nice, but still $75 to sit out in the uncovered part of the grandstands for the Xfinity race. Like, so maybe it'll be two cup races this year and an IndyCar race. IndyCar is also coming to Phoenix next month for an open test, open to the public. So I told my
Been a fun
boss,
way to get there.
yeah, I told my boss, I said, I'm probably going to be calling, taking the day off one of those days to go out to the track. He's
I'm
like,
gonna
you
be
bet.
sick that day.
He goes, well, no, I just told him I'm just taking the day off. And he's like, he goes, you better. I'm
Okay.
like, all right. See, that's the thing is my boss at work is a big racing fan. He goes to Talladega every year. Uh, and him and his buddies drive down to Talladega and they go to both races every single year. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so our our one-on-one calls every week or check in with how everything's going. Usually the last 5-10 minutes are us talking NASCAR. I think today actually we
Nice.
talked about Michael Schumacher for a bit. So garage talk during the day.
Yeah, there it is.
So yeah, if you can't tell, I've been a little sick this week, so I sound a lot better than I did last night. That's for sure.
Yeah, my allergies are kicking in, so I'm a little off now.
It's yeah, it's just I had a kid. So my kids turned 8 the other week, and we had to cancel their birthday party because one of them ended up with the flu and got pretty nasty sick, and the rest of us somehow managed to avoid getting the flu, but now all of us have this like nasty cold from somewhere, and
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, so I've been coughing and sounding like I smoked 30 packs of cigarettes a day for the last 20 years when I cough today, or this week rather,
What? Hopefully, everybody's feeling better here soon.
as I go for the cough button there, as you can see if you're watching the video.
So, what do we think chances are of NASCAR running at Bowman Gray?
I am, I said this last year. I said, what if it snows and it's like 35 degrees? And guess what?
North Carolina is supposed to get hammered this weekend.
I just don't like, I mean, it was conceptually a good idea, but you knew
Yeah,
there,
awesome idea. Wrong time of year.
yeah, you knew the chances of that happening were pretty good. I mean, if
You
you want,
have maybe three legitimate tracks that you can use: Homestead, Daytona, and Phoenix.
maybe Las Vegas too.
Maybe Vegas. Even though it's 43 is a
I mean,
high tomorrow there.
bring them out to Kern County, Kevin Harvick's Kern County.
Let's go dirt racing somewhere. That would be fun.
Or take them out
How
to
cool would
Willow.
that be actually? Put them in like modifieds or something like that.
Oh no, just let's just take them out to Willow Springs. Just I wonder. I, I know
Let's
it
have the
was
crash on dirt.
Willow Springs was sold, but I haven't really heard much about that. It sounded like the people who bought it were like, "Yeah, we're keeping this place open," because there was concerns that it's going to go the way of Auto Club Speedway, and it sounds like Auto Club Speedway they're still holding out hope that that's going to get rehabbed into something someday.
There will be nothing that happens there.
It's they've put signs up in the area, and they're actually like there was actually a sign up the other day that called it like Napa Speedway.
Interesting.
Yeah, that somebody on Reddit posted that they have all these new signs that were just put up in like the last month, and it was like arrows pointing to Napa Speedway. So it's like, okay, so you have two-thirds of a grandstands, a tiny bit of your front stretch, couple, a handful of garages left, and a corporate sponsor. If only you had a track.
Yeah. Now it's going to be funny if here in the next year we hear the NASCAR Clash because it snows like crazy this year and it gets postponed or canceled. That all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we're looking at dirt next year." You heard it here first. It's like good from
Uh,
NASCAR is listening to us. As we see Rockingham start to come back, after we've been saying All-Star Race needs to go there. IndyCar to Phoenix. Although on iRacing, did you have you been on Phoenix?
no.
You get black flagged if you take the dog leg.
Really?
Yeah,
On even with the open dogleg setup? Really?
at least in the I need to further test it, but in the time attack, if you take the dog leg, you get black flagged.
I mean, I would not trust an Indy car on the dogleg in traffic there. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's bad enough coming back on the track in a stock car. No.
I'm sure people have done it, but I'm sure somebody watched our race and are like, no, we no. That was insane. Why would anybody do that?
I mean, I know this is absurd what I'm saying, and I've said this many times before. I am still taking partial credit for IndyCar returning to Phoenix. Like we need to take partial credit for that.
We've been talking about that for how long now?
Yes, we are. I don't care. This is 2026. Rules don't matter. We are the driving factor, are part of the driving factor towards IndyCar's return to Phoenix. Yes, thank you. You heard it here first.
Said it long enough, we've raced it.
You're welcome. All
I think
right.
it's
So, geez, what
that's
else?
IndyCar and NASCAR in a nutshell. How about
Yeah.
Formula One?
Uh, so a lot of storylines there with Red Bull officially starting their relationship with Ford. You have Williams not showing up for the test because what did they say they were?
The car is just not ready.
Yeah, the car was way too heavy. Ferrari was having his
Ferrari,
Ferrari for
basically driving a tank.
Ferrari's gonna Ferrari.
Yeah, their car like died in the first lap.
Oh man,
Watch Cadillac end up having like one of the best seasons.
that would be kind of
Who was
funny.
it, like Braun?
Yeah, yeah. Ross Braun GP, which I got it right here. Good book, by the way. I brought this book out many times before. We've talked about it a lot, but I highly recommend this. It's written the author Adam Parr. It's very conversational. It's like they're having a conversation and it's just like the transcript of their conversation back and forth, but in it's not like
Hmm.
line. It's in narrative form. Um, very interesting book. I learned a lot about his Ferrari years, the Braun GP, yeah, his relationship with Michael Schumacher. It's very good book. As I just spooked the dog there.
Yeah, F1's gonna be interesting. And I like how Mercedes basically has an engine that's illegal, but FIA is like, we'll let you use it for this year.
Could be fun.
So we'll see how all that goes. But if Mercedes somehow like laps the field in the first race in Australia, I'm sure they'll come back and say, you know what? Nope, change it.
That would be funny.
I would laugh because that would be FIA for sure.
I think your couple of your big questions are, McLaren had a really strong start to the season and then really tailed off at the end and just kind of, Lando basically holding on for dear life,
I,
fending off Max's charge by what, 2 points was it?
yeah,
2 points.
I think it was the changing point really was it Belgium when Piastri had a good pit stop that went first, even though he was second in line. Then Lando had a bad tire change. Then they come on the radio and go, switch spots. Lando had a bad stop. It's like, wait, that's part of racing. And from that point on, it seemed like Piastri like fell off for quite a while,
Yeah, he did.
and then finally started to regain form. But
I mean, just too little, too late at that point. I
but I
got
think
my
too they were
got
maybe a
another
little bit helping Norris.
got another Lego for my collection here. So
Nice.
another off-season acquisition. Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, I hope you enjoy our updated look. We, I mean, our original logo is kind of, I mean, I don't know, half-assed is the right word, but it was kind of an afterthought. We were just kind of playing
No,
around.
I did it. It was. I just made it.
It was just
I
kind of
liked
like
it.
it was meant to be kind of a placeholder because we didn't know how long it was going to go, and we were trying this thing out, and I mean, we're now into our like fifth year of doing this, just about.
What, over 150 episodes?
Yeah, I think this is 154, I believe, of the full shows. And that doesn't count the live shows we've done. It doesn't count, we had our experimental weekend recap show where we did another 20 something of those. Yeah, I mean, we had no idea in June of 2022 we were going to do this show and be 100 and technically 180 episodes in, and we're talking now, year five of doing this. So,
One of the longer running ones now.
I mean, we're got to be in like the 0.02 percentile for show length now. They said that you're in like the top 10% of shows if you get to episode 20 or something like that, and you're in the top 1% if you get to 100.
Well, we're well past that now.
Yeah. It is funny though when you see podcasts and I mean podcast is often seen as kind of a dirty word because like Oh, podcast. Oh, you have a podcast. Anybody could have a podcast. But you notice, like, we don't really use the word podcast in what we do, and it's very deliberate. It's a garage talk. It's a show. It's not a podcast.
And yeah, we kind of figured out where we're going with it
I
and
mean,
how we do things. So that's why you see kind of a more fun, updated Garage Talk logo with two idiots who talk racing
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. I mean, we
We venture all over the place.
it fits the personality. We insult ourselves. I mean, it fits. Like it's the evolution. We have come full circle here, and it's like, okay, now we are where we need to be.
And there's still one part to the logo that is
Yeah.
still taking shape. And once that gets
So,
completed, you're really going to look at it and be like, man, these guys are idiots.
yeah,
Yes, we are.
that's right. And you know what? I am proud of that.
Me too.
Proud to spend the 30 minutes or an hour 15 or however we go each week,
Or 2.5 hours
or
when we're
two
drinking Malort.
or 2.5 hours of chugging Malort and then having to lose the footage.
We did really good on that one for about an hour, and then it just went completely sideways.
I I just remember after we like did 2 hours of drinking Malort, and I remember walking out of this room when I was done. I'm like, I gotta work tomorrow. I gotta get up at 6 a.m. Crap.
Yeah, it's a fun day. I'd do it again though.
I think I did throw up that next morning. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm like, wow, that's the first time I've thrown up on a work day. I'm glad I work at home because I just
Yeah, I was good the next day. I was tired, but that's all right.
yeah, I'm 90% sure I threw up and I went right back to work and I was good after that. So it's like,
There you
you
go.
you do that in an office, like,
When you just got to walk 10 feet and do it, nobody knows. Hey, you're
right.
good.
That's right. Yeah, I can count on one hand how many times I've been hung over the next morning for work, and very you know, like obviously if I had to drive in, I would never do such a thing like that. Number two, it's like I'm not going to impact my job performance, but it was a 1-2 celebration that night.
Yep.
I had a one
Well,
two. We've had a 1-2 celebration last fall, so hopefully we get more of those.
yeah, hopefully.
The Wednesday Night Dash has, as we wrap up, get it close to wrap up here for this week. Wednesday Night Dash returned at the beginning of January and uh, up and down. Well, uh, this week was rough, say the
Well,
least.
Wilkesboro, it was kind of chaotic.
I um I haven't watched a full replay yet. I haven't had time to sit down and watch it, but whew. And I said it to the group this evening, and there were some upset people, and like, please never schedule that again. But and I'm like, yeah, I think you're probably right. But then next day, cooler heads prevailing. You know what? We shouldn't be running away from this. And the thing is, like, we do a Monday night practice. We have a teams competition. I know multiple teams get together and work together privately on their own, and the improvement has been tremendous. I mean, it has gotten very competitive over the last 2 years.
Yes, it
Um,
has.
we also had the surprise return of Chad Winstead, who came in and cleaned our clocks during our first full, non-pilot season. And, Chad's obviously extremely talented driver. And, he ran away with it last night, but I mean, I didn't even see how many laps were under caution last night. I'm afraid to look.
Didn't look.
I didn't look either, and I'm kind of afraid to look, but I'm gonna look anyway, just because I need to know.
Yeah, and it's a completely different format too from when Chad
Yeah,
first started with us.
yeah.
'Cause at that point, we were just running straight green to checker, no
Oh,
cautions.
we phased that in about 2/3 of the way through the season. So like the last 3 weeks, we did have the stage break.
Yeah, we added stage break, and then what? Last season, we added up cautions.
Yeah, we had the super
It
speedway
really changed up
caution.
everything.
Yikes! All right,
Over half the race,
all
wasn't it?
right. We were, yeah. So we ran 90 laps. We finished under green, of course. We didn't have to do an overtime because go
Of
figure.
all things, we should have, but I think the white already came out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the race control let that last lap was a disaster. Holy crap.
There was all sorts of stuff going on there.
I'm gonna be publishing a video later that shows like this is yeah, this is crazy. But um 90 laps, 13 cautions, 53 caution laps. The
Sounds like a truck series race.
Yes. So the fastest lap was by Mr. Winstead with an 18.634. The average lap time, because of all the cautions, was 31.38.
If you're listening and haven't watched our races, like please don't let this race be a
This,
reflection on the
this
actual
this
competitiveness of the
is
league.
yes. Like one, they can't all be winners. There's gonna be some nights like this. The last night was that's not gonna be on the best of Wednesday night dash ever. Uh, Two,
Hopefully, we learn a little bit from the race for 2 weeks from now too.
yeah, and I've had I don't know, I've probably had about 10 conversations between people who either watched the race, were driving in the race, and the feedback I got was, and I said, "What happened?" Like, I mean, we obviously saw some of the stuff firsthand, and it was basically, I'm not going to say who said this to me, but the best description I got was it was 50% people struggling on the exits of 2 and 4, and there were a lot of the mashing the throttle coming out of 2 and 4 and just losing it. There were quite a few incidents with that. But
I
the
saw
other,
several just right in front of me.
yeah, the other one was bad. They called it bad decision making. There were some people being very aggressive, trying to push their way back up to the front after they spun or got involved in a caution or whatever, trying to get that track position. There were people that were trying to go three wide in the corner and just not working out.
Yeah, there's
I
lots of lines that you can take around Wilkesboro, and it was you really had to fight for track position. If you slid up a little bit or just didn't quite
it's
get a good entry, you'd have 2 or 3 cars get by you real
it
fast.
if you got pushed onto that high line on a restart or you couldn't get yourself down lower, I had two separate restarts where I lost four positions immediately because I couldn't get to that lower line and I had to basically run the wall. And I just watched four cars go flying right by me. And I ran and probably the most conservative race I've ever run, knowing that this is going to get pretty ugly more than likely, and it obviously was. And I'm just like, I'm not challenging you. I'm not. This is not worth the fight. And I got involved in a wreck. Took me a while to get around. I get lapped, on the fast repair. Get the lucky dog on one of the final cautions. Restart like 19th, and I walk out of there 10th. And I'm just like, I cannot be happier with that
The
result.
epitome of the night.
I cannot be happier. I botched my qualifying run as I frequently do. I start like what did I start yesterday? Like I
Uh,
started 15th
yeah,
because
you were one spot behind me.
yeah, I started 15th because other people had botched their qualifying runs too. So I start 15th. I'm back at like 21st, like fairly early on. And I'm just like, I'm just trying out here not to die. I get involved in like one wreck where I really need to go use that fast repair. I had a lot of front end damage on a late wreck, and I stayed out. I didn't have a meatball. I could turn the car. I stayed out, and it just worked out in the end. I'll take it.
I think for me, that race has basically summed up the previous 3 races too. Like I've been at least in the top 6 in every race so far this season, but something either happens right in front of me or I get tagged from behind, and I've been going from the back to the front, to the back to the front in 4 races so far.
I had one incident that I also have a video saved of, and two cars turn in front and get spun. One car loses it coming out of one of the turns, spins another car. Dawson gets spun, and I somehow weave through that and make contact with nobody. And I'm just like, how? How in the world did I get through that?
And for me, a couple good ones last night. Coming off a turn, just making sure I was easy on throttle and got caught in a corner. Then another, thought I was getting a 2-for-1 pass, but the outside car bounced off the wall, came right over into me. I'm like, wait, what just happened?
I, we have a rule in the league that we implemented last season, and I think it helped because before we didn't have any kind of incident count penalties. And we had a race a couple seasons ago where there was some overly aggressive driving to get back to the front, and there were quite a few racing. We'll say there were quite a few racing incidents involved, and it just the complaints were there. It's like we need to like tone this down before it gets out of hand. So I said fine. So we said at 13x on intermediate tracks, you get a drive-through penalty. At 26x, you're disqualified. And we made the exception that on the short tracks and the super speedways, the 18x incident points, 18 incident points gets you. And for you not familiar with iRacing, if you go off track, you get a point. If you kind of spin but not fully, it's 2 points. If you get a big crash, it's 4 points. So it's on the super speedways, like if you hit, you bump somebody a little too hard, you're going to give them 2 points for that. So it's like 13x is kind of aggressive because like it's theoretically like a wreck and a couple of bumps and you're getting a drive-through penalty. So we made it 18x, but still kept the DQ at 26. But it's like, do we need to crank that down?
Yeah, I think a great question for competition committee is even
Oh,
that
and it's
13 caught me. I think the second race of the season going into the last lap. I think I got bumped from behind or caught something just right that gave me a 4X and put me over the limit, but it didn't even damage me. I'm like, oh man, this
yeah,
is one I lost a top 10 finish on.
there was a suggestion, yeah, that there was a suggestion that like, what if we give a bonus point if you come out of there with a 0x? And I said, we've experimented with that before, but it led to the like, oh, this person's run a clean race, and I need that bonus. I need to prevent them from getting a bonus point. I'm already at 4x for the night. So what if I just go and give them a nice little push from behind and give them a nice little 2x, or you kind of escort them to the grass? It's just like yeah, theoretically, sure, if you run a clean race, you should be rewarded for that. But at the same time, that could create some nefarious behavior in the process of like, hey, this
And
guy's
we
run a
don't
clean
want that.
race. Yeah, I don't need them gaining a point. Let's give them a nice little escort down into the grass and get that 1x. So,
One of the fun things with Winston Night Dash, we're not just stuck in our ways. We're trying to find ways to evolve,
yeah.
and we've made lots of changes from the beginning to where we are now.
Yeah, and it's not just changes for the sake of changes. A lot has changed. The skill level, the size of the league has changed.
And it's not
Just
changes to our benefit either. I think we keep moving further
no,
and further
no,
down the
yeah,
standings.
yeah. I mean, we're on the tail end of the team competition right now, and you know what? Whatever. I'm not firing you, and you're not firing me, so our jobs are safe. Ooh, pardon me. Didn't get to the cough button in time there. Yeah. So it's nice when your name's on your name's on the hat. You make the decisions on who gets fired, and it's not us.
And it's not like our changes are making us go 1-2 every single race, every single week.
No, nobody want to. You don't want to go to a league where the league manager's winning every race. That would suck.
No.
It needs to be interesting. So,
But
Wednesday
three
night
races
dash is,
down. Next one's 2 weeks
yep.
here at Talladega.
I I scheduled the off week after North Wilkesboro, and I thought about this after the race. I said, I typically have been putting an extra week after the short tracks because that's usually where we have the hottest, hot tempers post race. And it's just like having that cool down week after to let everybody just kind of simmer down, do some yoga breathing. Let's reset. Let's get out there. And then I'm just like, I just went from short track to Talladega. Oh crap. What was I thinking on that? But Talladega, 2 weeks. And bottom split's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Got a fun schedule. We got Chicagoland and Las Vegas and Lime Rock Park and Michigan and
It's not 100% confirmed yet, but I think you might see a little bit more presence from myself this season.
I've been I I need to do I don't think I'm gonna run a full schedule for bottom split. I mean I probably will. I said the last same thing last year too, that I wasn't gonna run a full schedule, and the only race I didn't run was because my VR headset experiment failed on me at race time. Um Otherwise, yeah, I would have had a full schedule in there. So
I
bottom
may
split.
be running close to a full this one.
And then Indy Racing World Series returns February 24th.
Yes,
Registration is open now.
actually at Phoenix.
Yes. So
And we get the hybrid era now on iRacing.
I have spent very little time on that. I'm not even sure. There has to be a video out there where somebody's like kind of breaking down the hybrid and kind of best
It
practices.
I ran at Chicagoland last week and under the hybrid rules and actually wasn't too bad. I probably could have been fifth in that race, but I brushed the wall a little bit coming off of four and it gave me just enough damage, so I couldn't get back up there and ended up seventh. And I wasn't really running too far off pace of the leaders.
So what did you end up doing with the hybrid there? Is you just burn it off early, or how does that work
Um, it
in a race
depended
like
a
that?
little bit. I may have to see how it works through season a little bit more. If I figured out something, I don't want to give away too many secrets
No,
early on yet.
no, Mr.
But
Ganassi, why would you do that?
no, I found several different ways to deploy it and actually didn't use it a ton. I probably could have used it more, but I got to see long term how does it affect fuel mileage use? Does it at all? Um, how do I need to adjust any settings if I do deploy? But you can feel a little boost, but it goes quick.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I did. I took it out on Indianapolis and did like a 4 lap qualifying and basically used the hybrid at the very beginning and then like yeah, that was one of the common strategies during qualifying last year and
Yeah, that was a big one. And then the trickle on the last lap was a big one.
that that's one if you've got a little bit saved up for that last lap, that could make things very interesting. So,
Well, it's nice. You have a limit of what you can use per lap, but then you get the regen ability too.
all right. So we've got some space in both leagues, so head to frracingonline.com/BSRS for the bottom split racing series. If you're new to oval racing, want to get in it, or just not very good, uh, we're there to work with each other and get better. And we're pretty transparent, we're pretty open with each other on feedback, and we're just out there to we have fun. It's broadcasted. It's kind of a haha bottom split. You guys suck, like whatever. It's gets gets attention. So, got some new people coming into the series. We have a new announcer, by the way, for the series. I don't know if I even told you that yet.
I don't think I've heard it yet.
No, so yeah, we got a new announcer for the series. So,
All
uh,
right.
Hunter had to step down because his Monday league was getting. He had a couple of moments last year, a couple of weeks last year, where he almost didn't make the start of the race, just because
Oh,
of how long his league race before ran that he's in. So
yeah, he's been running solid in the other league too.
yeah, so he had to drop out, and um, John Miles will be stepping into the booth for bottom split.
Awesome. Welcome,
So
John.
yeah, he let him do the
He's
fun
been guest
race.
on the show as well.
Well, yeah, he's been on the show, but he also, he stepped in the booth last year for the first time for the fun race, the Daytona fun race, and then he called these SMR charity race, the Toys for Tots uh late model charity race, and got that broadcast itch. So,
It's awesome.
yep. So it's and two, we're also looking for people, if you want to try broadcasting, we obviously have our spots are filled, and we've got Jackson coming back for the Indy Racing World Series, and he's been done a phenomenal job on Wednesday Night Dash, and rightfully giving us crap last night. I heard he said on the broadcast, "Can we please run a green lap?"
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to hear Jackson on Indy Series
No, he's been
this
electric.
season.
But we need people too that, if we need to build that bench, that if somebody steps out or somebody needs to drop out, I don't want to be skipping out of races and filling in. So if you want to do some part-time announcing and get your feet wet with that, we've just, get in touch with us, and we'll show you the ropes, and there'll be opportunities where I know, there'll be times where Jackson will need to miss out this year, so you have an opportunity to step in and call a Wednesday night dash. That's our flagship league. It's the I'm just thrilled with just the turnout and the broadcast and everybody watching, and we're cleaning it up. We're trying to make it more professional, more exciting, and we're getting there.
It's been crazy, but I think there's been a good race product going out on track, and Wednesday Night Dash so far this season has been a lot of fun in the next gen cars. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how bottom split goes in second season. And I think Indy, when that kicks off finally here at the end of February, it's going to be a wild season, and it's going to be a lot of fun to be a part of.
That's right. I have to my runner up in the standings last season.
I think we're going into what, season seven. We have five previous season champions that are going to be taking in.
Yep,
Then out
Ian.
of the like dozen entries so far confirmed, I think there's at least 10 different winners in there,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. And
11.
Ian
Like
Miller is returning.
we got a great field, and a field that's going to help you out too. If
Yep.
you're trying to get a feel for IndyCar, come join it. We like
Yeah,
to
it's
race
just,
and work
again,
hard, but we'll help you.
we're very transparent. Everybody's very transparent. We want the competition to be good. People don't want to come out there and just have crap races, and like
And if
last
you're in the
night.
chat on Discord, we're talking about where we set in roll bars and weight jackers. And so if you're not too sure about that, jump in and we'll give you some ideas.
I might sing a little bit. It's
I'll try not to threaten phantom cautions.
no threats of phantom cautions, but
Although there was a cone in the middle of the track last night.
yeah, I did notice that
Somebody bumped it.
I think it was Nick actually did that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for this week. We're excited to be back. Hope you enjoy the new branding, the slightly different look. We kind of updated some of the graphics, and we made a few changes to the intro. So I hope you enjoy that, and looking forward to another season of racing. And be sure to check us out at FR Racing Online on socials. Give us a follow, and make sure you hit subscribe.
And once we're not battling colds and we exchange our cough medicine for the other cough medicine, I'm sure you'll
Grand-
find out even more why we're idiots.
Grandpa's cough syrup.
There you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody means the world to us. Take care.